Top 10 most affordable UK universities for international students. I've actually done all of this research, so you don't have to do it. Let's get into the video. So this top affordable UK universities is based on my personal research and speaking with a few of my friends that have recently gotten the opportunity to study in the UK. And we'll be considering the cost of living, deposit, and job opportunity you can explore when you get into the UK working part-time. And that leads me to the first most affordable UK university, which is the University of South Wales. You would actually get something around £14,950 at least to actually study in this school. But guess what? There's something that they actually give in return. If you have a decent accomplishment with respect to your academic background, you would get at least a scholarship opportunity of £2,000 to at least £2,500, meaning this will be deducted from the total cost. So at the end of the day, you'll be spending something around £11,000 plus or £12,000. So one thing you need to know for a fact is that the deposit policy is 50%, and of course, you should also know that this university is in Wales. So in case you don't know, Wales is actually outside of England and is one of the countries in the United Kingdom. So the cost of living here is actually very decent, and I genuinely believe that this is not something you should worry about. And of course, the job prospect here is that you can actually get a part-time opportunity. One more thing about the University of South Wales is the fact that there are some courses that they tend to take third class if you finish with the third class in your BSc. So it's something you can also look into, and of course, I genuinely believe it can actually complement your application. And the next on my list is Swansea University. And of course, this one is also in Wales. And I also want you to know that I did a little bit of research about this one. And I know for a fact that they've recently been ranked as the 42nd UK university. So the fee for international students ranges between £12,000 to £18,450. And for a fact, I would like you to know that the deposit is at least £4,000. So this thing can actually change over time, but look into it. Swansea University, consider it. The next most affordable school is the University of Huddersfield. I personally study in this university, and I actually did my master's in accounting and finance, even with placement. So for a fact, I can tell you that this school actually gives you the opportunity to explore professional experience or practices whilst doing the program. So you get to do a 6-month placement. I would also like you to know that the placement is very competitive. Now, the benefit of this is the fact that this school is actually in Yorkshire, and Yorkshire is actually very affordable. You can actually live easily in this place. So you don't have to worry about the cost of living, you don't have to worry about bills. As at the time I actually studied here, the school fees was around £10,500, and of course the placement opportunity was £750. Now, it has actually increased over time to at least £15,000, and that's for the fact that the school is highly competitive. So I can confirm to you that this is a decent school, it's reputable, and is placement worth it? I actually made a video about placement, so check it out so you can actually see if you would need to apply to placement. Now, when I actually applied to £750, but now placement is now £3,000. So if you are dealing with placement, you'll be spending something around £18,000. Without placement, an average of £15,000. One thing about University of Huddersfield with respect to the deposit policy is that in my time, they didn't really stipulate how much I should pay, but I actually paid a decent amount. But right now, they now require you to pay at least £6,000. One thing about deposit also I want you to know is that deposit at the end of the day is a scam. If you see schools that are actually telling you to pay £1,000, £2,000, it seems like, oh, you are winning. But guess what? When you get into the UK, for example, your fee is £13,000. You pay £2,000 deposit. Now you need to also for 11K. I mean, it's almost unrealistic for you to pay this within 1 year. You get what I'm saying? Based on the 20 hours rule. I genuinely believe that if you pay at least 50% of your school fees, when you get into the UK, it's more realistic for you to also for the rest. So deposit is not really something you should consider if you really want to, make payment for this thing within stipulated time. Next school on my list is York St. John University. Also, this one is actually within Yorkshire. I did a little digging. I'm like, which one is this school? But of course, I checked it out and I realized that it's also a decently reputable school. The average tuition fee is £15,000. It's very attractive to international students. And of course, the deposit policy is 50%. So check out their application, see when they're actually taking international students. It could be September, it could be January intake. I'll also link it in the description box. So the next most affordable university on my list is the Leeds Beckett University. This one is in Leeds. Of course, I can confirm to you that the cost of living is decent because I live around Yorkshire. I live in Huddersfield, just 20-25 minutes train to Leeds. I can confirm to you that getting job opportunity in Leeds is something that is realistic. I remember when I used to do part-time job, I would always get agencies giving me opportunity in Leeds. So I can confirm to you that job won't be a problem. Cost of living is pretty much higher. You would get something around £500 to at least £800 for a decent apartment. So Leeds is fair in my own opinion. So the deposit policy is 50%, and of course on average the tuition fee is around £12,000 to £15,000. I also like you to know one challenge with respect to this university is the fact that there are not so many programs you could explore. I mean, they have averagely some you can see, but overall you might not see what you're looking for. So it's a decent school. Check it out. So the next on my list is the University of Chester. Now this one is very close to Manchester. I think about 30 minutes to Manchester. I actually can recommend this one because I personally have a friend in this uni. Now the deposit is around £4,000 and I genuinely believe that is more than decent. I also want you to know for a fact that on the website they also state that if you actually make the full payment of the tuition fee, you will get a discounted price of £250 from your total payment. One interesting thing about the University of Chester is that they are one of the UK universities that actually have intake in January, May, and of course September. So for the May intake, you get something around £13,450, while for the September intake, you get something around £14,250 to £17,000, which I genuinely believe on average is pretty decent. Now the fact that it's in Chester, the cost of living is pretty much higher than those actually living in places like Huddersfield, Leeds, Bedford, etc. But I mean, one thing is clear, there's a chance that you will actually get job opportunity while working part-time. Next university on my list is the University of Bedfordshire, and the deposit is 65%. Now the tuition fee, you will get something around £13,750 to £27,950. And now this £27,950 is for people doing a 2 years program specifically in nursing. That's why it's actually more expensive. Now one thing is also clear, the cost of living might be high because this is somewhere that's actually within close to London or something. So it's something you also need to look into with respect to the cost of living. If you live in London, there's a chance that you will get opportunities or you get job you can do part-time. But my advice is if you want to study in London, because London cost of living is high. You also need to know for a fact that in the last 14 months, they've actually been living crisis in the UK. Yeah, and that's actually impacted things like energy bills and etc. I remember I used to rent a studio in Huddersfield for £420 and 12 months later it's now £550. That's crazy. So it means that things are now more expensive. Inflation has gone up over 10%, interest rate has gone up over 1%. That means that credit and of course cost of living or accommodation will be expensive. So if you live in London, I advise you leave. If you have families, if you have people already there, you can stay with them. But if you don't, I mean, consider other affordable places. The next on my list is Seaside University. Now this one is in Middlesbrough, and of course I believe that the cost of living is pretty much decent. I actually applied to this one. I was looking for universities then, and they actually even gave me an offer to come and study there. So the deposit amount is around £11,750 to £17,000. I was also saying that you need to make a deposit of at least £1,000. Like I said, the deposit don't mean nothing if you at the end of the day cannot pay this fee when required. Because if you can't pay this fee, the school will lock your portal and you'll be able to submit your assignment, and that will be a threat to your studentship. Next on my list is the University of Canberra. You get something around £13,250 to £16,240. Now this is pretty much decent. The deposit policy is 75% of the total fee. I generally believe that this is pretty much okay, and it's also one you can explore. Next on my list is the University of Baltimore. Now the average price you receive for this one with respect to the tuition fee is £13,550. One thing that is frustrating about this one is the fact that you need to make total deposit of the tuition fee. I mean, it's most schools in Canada that do this one. I don't understand why this uni is doing this one, but I won't blame them because they understand the fact that many students want to come into the UK, and the UK is very much attractive. Now the cost of living is pretty much on the medium side. Now this is very close to Manchester, but I know for a fact that it's not the most expensive. So I mean, you can go for it if you can afford this one. One more thing though, are you looking for scholarship opportunities where you don't have to pay next to nothing, or you probably pay half of the tuition fee you should originally pay, even with a low grade in your BSc? Now watch this video where I actually share the top and the most active scholarship opportunities currently ongoing in the UK. See you in the video.